again, me popsicles, and welcome to Season 2 of Science Fiction Remnant.
Go ahead and grab your multipass, a drink, and sit back with us and geek out about sci-fi.
Let's pick each other's brain. We want you to be part of our intimate conversation about science fiction topics.
And hang around to the end of the episodes for the real-world science that was inspired by your favorite science fiction.
Let's do this. Let's talk about science fiction topics in books, movies, TV shows, and games.
At Science Fiction Remnant, you are invited to listen in.
Listen now on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, Anchor,
Audible, Goodpods,
or whatever you listen to podcasts.
You can catch the video pods on our YouTube a month later.
And don't forget your multipass, you me popsicles.
Science Fiction Remnant is brought to you by the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. No cat and cuties were harmed in the making of this commercial. Ba, 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 ba.
Now listen, everybody. We are experiencing some kind of disaster.
No, it's the end of days. Oh my God.
Something in the mist! Shut the doors! Shut the doors!
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What up?
This week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss The Mist, starring Thomas Jane, Andre Bauer, Marcia Gay Harden, and the cast of The Walking Dead. Is basically
Yes!
this thing.
I kept writing. I was like, what the f*** is this the cast of The Walking Dead? And it's Andre
Literally.
Brower.
What did I say?
Bauer.
Did I
Like
say
Jack
Andre Bauer? Oh, my
Yes.
bad. Yeah, you're right. Andre Brower. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so if I messed that up, my
I
bad.
never seen that. I
Each
never
week-
seen that.
Okay, well, you're missing out. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past, present, and perhaps future with a comedic twist. Guilty pleasures, forgotten classics, good times. Aaron.
Good times. These are just good times.
Oh, I thought you were going to sing the theme song to Good Times.
Anytime.
you feel free.
Good times. Anytime
Anytime
you're
you're
out from under. Not getting hassled. Not getting hustled.
Okay,
Oh my
moving on.
God.
So what's the latest with you, Aaron?
Well, quite frankly, I just went on a coffee date. First date I've been on in 10 years.
Are you getting hassled and hustled?
I'm getting hassled and hustled now. Just bored. Just a little bored. And then I was like, oh, I got to get going. I got to, get ready for a podcast. And he didn't even say, really? You do a podcast?
Tell me
What's a
more.
podcast? No, skipped right over it. That was
Okay.
the death nail. That
when
was
I
the
was
death nail.
when I was doing online dating, people said, "Oh, you got to do a coffee date." I'm like, "No. I'm doing a regular dinner date because when dinner's over, I say, "Thank you very much." It's a natural conclusion and I bounce if I want to bounce. Coffee, you inevitably have to kind of force the issue like, okay, well, it was nice talking to you. You have to find closure. You have to force closure at the end of a coffee date.
I got no problem with that. I looked at my watch and said, well, and we were already at that point where we were hitting like the dead zones. So he rambled on about geology for like 40 minutes. I simultaneously rambled on about traveling and art. There was clearly no overlap. And I looked at my watch and said, hey, I got to bounce. I said, I got to bounce. I got to go do a podcast with my brother. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, I didn't tell him that it was not for 2 hours, but I had to prepare myself psychologically.
So you did not exchange information. It was just kind of, we mutually agreed we're out.
Well, I guess he could have chased me down the street, but I would have thrown a chair at him. Luckily, I was
do
parked
not
right in front of the
admit
coffee.
defeat. Right.
I did not have coffee, so I wouldn't be nervous. I did not have a beer, so my judgment would be clouded. Although he had already finished a beer by the time I rolled in at 4:00. Already a strike.
There used to
Boom.
be horror stories of like you'd meet somebody for dinner or whatever online. You'd never met in person, and the moment you walked in the door, they'd take one look and be like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Have a good evening. And then just,
Oh, this must have what happened to me 10 years ago when I was single again. I was doing my coffee date at the Starbuckles,
yeah,
and I was there. I mean, and all these mofo dudes are posting some old ass pictures. So
Of
you don't
course.
know.
you don't know.
Where are you? I'm like a blind person rubbing people's faces at the Starbucks.
Yes.
So I'm waiting. I'm messaging him on the app. Hey, I'm here. I'm here. Tick tock. Time passes. There's a guy outside. Maybe I don't know, but
Right.
doesn't really look like the person in the pictures. So 20 minutes I gave him, and I bounced out. And like 20 minutes after that, hey, we must have missed each other. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I've been there for 20 minutes. He's like, oh, were you wearing the striped shirt? I said, yes. Oh, I wasn't sure. Oh, no. You invited me to this thing, motherfucker. I look exactly like my pictures. He's like, you want to go out now? I'm like, you. Hell no. And like a week later, I don't know how, he's like, hey, you want to meet for coffee? I'm like, I was clear with the no, I thought. But apparently you need something a little firmer. Rejection with prejudice. It was just as well, because there was a loop-de-loop comb over going on.
You don't like the loop-de-loop comb over. Very upsetting.
Jesus Christ.
This is a
Can't wait.
lovely
Well, I mean,
dating
I was able to chit chat. I mean, but literally we couldn't hold it for an hour. And dude, I didn't talk about teaching at all.
Right.
But he managed to talk about geology the whole time.
No, when I was single and on the prowl, if we met up, oftentimes I could tell immediately I'm not interested, but you got
Right.
dressed up. I'm going to give you a meal. I'm not going to be a dick. We'll have dinner and then, agree never to look each other's way again.
See, that's why a dinner is too long. I had a friend who's like, you're too picky, Aaron. Go on a second date. You can't tell anything from the first date. So I went on this date with this crazy person who was late, he told me, because I was covered with the red stuff. There was an accident on the freeway, and I had to perform CPR or something else. I get into his car. He has like an hour late after not telling me, and he was picking me up. Get into his car. He has what appears to be something you shove into your chicken to know when it's done. He corrects me and says that's absolutely not what it is, that it's to check the temperature. I said, uh-huh. We get to the restaurant. He's like, I have something to tell you. What do you think about this? I went over to get some shirts at the store, and it's a place where they have uniforms for the police officers, but they also seem to be selling uniforms for the KKK. I said, what the hell? How is that even a thing? He's like, why? What's wrong with that? I'm like, what? You don't see why it might be wrong for the police to be patronizing a place? I mean, this is clearly a city contract that also sells KKK things. And he's arguing, and they have a right to their business. I was like, they can say whatever they goddamn please if it's illegal, but the city should not be giving. I'm escalating. I'm about ready to lose my mind. I'm like, right. What's wrong with this motherfucker? I said, what is the name of this place? He's like, oh, it doesn't really exist. You said on your profile you like political arguments. I was like, I gotta go. He's like, it's only 8:00. I scheduled bowling next. Next thing I know, I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I went bowling, and then he put his hand on my thigh, and I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
So how did you hitchhike home or whatever?
Oh no. I got him to take me home, and then he was going in for the kiss. I was like, oh, no.
This is a banner evening in Bakersfield, I'll tell you what.
This is a banner evening. Normally, bowling's good times, but this is why, my friend, why I just go get an herbal tea or a decaf cup of coffee and I bounce in an hour. Ain't no
Interesting.
reason for dinner.
Ain't no
No
reason.
reason for this kind of interesting conversation. Because
I love
that
this
ain't no
story.
lie, baby. Bye, bye, bye.
You're telling me.
Oh, yeah. That's my life.
We're 20 minutes in. Why don't you give us the 30-second synopsis of The Mist?
I think it's pretty similar to the date at I think it was a Basque restaurant. Yeah. Oh, also, he needed to sit with his back to the wall, so he can see people coming in. I'm like, you ain't a cop. What the hell?
He's like,
What do you
"I'm
mean you
a
gotta sit with your
KKK
back
member."
to the room? Fudge. I stopped going when our first date was a breakfast dinner and everybody knew him there, so I just never ate breakfast there again because I just didn't need to run into him again.
Fair enough. The
And did
Mist.
I tell you had a giant Humvee, orange? All right, The Mist. The Mist. What can we say about The Mist? The Mist contains creatures from parallel universes that are angry and irritated, and I'm not sure if they're really eating people. They can be a host. Maybe they put a straw in them and drain them out. They like to take chunks out of them. They're angry people. You would think that we wouldn't taste good because we're like if you've never seen an artichoke, would you like the taste?
I'm not a big fan now, honestly.
But you know what I'm saying, brother. I mean, we're not talking different cultural food. Like the first time a stranger bit into an avocado, we're talking about different universe tastes. But anyway, we seem to be tasty, the long port. So crazy people are trapped in a grocery store. It becomes Lord of the Flies. At first I thought they were the same people, but in the end they were not. The supposedly sane people boogie out and take their lives when things get slightly uncomfortable for 5 minutes.
Spoiler alert.
Boom. Boom. One of the most ridiculous endings I've ever seen in my life.
2 more booms, by the way. I'd read this book.
I'm sure it reads better. It's kind of like Jaws. The less you see of the shark, the better.
I believe it was like one of the stories from the Skeleton Crew collection by Stephen King, if I'm remembering this correctly.
All right.
And it was good. I went on a long car ride with our sister Tara, like decades ago at this stage of the game. And she had The Mist on tape. And we listened to it there as well. But I'll tell you this, I had not seen this version of the movie ever. Had you?
There's another version?
Well, there was a Sci-Fi Network series that was also The Mist that came out like 10 years after this.
No idea.
Yeah, don't watch Sci-Fi Channel. It's not good quality.
I'm not even sure it exists. Are those the people that brought us Sharknado?
Yes. And Lavalantula.
Lavalantula is still an awesome name, though.
So you hadn't seen this before, and I hadn't seen this before.
No, and I hadn't read the book either.
Now, I had meant to see this because everybody I talked to over the years was just like, oh, that ending. The ending was just shocking. The shocking ending.
There was nothing shocking about it.
It was pretty shocking.
I was like, what? What a bunch of pusses.
Well, and
they could have stopped. Basically, when it comes down to it, as long as you're got a strong door, not a bunch of even with freaking windows, draw the curtains. You would have been fine. They're like, it's too much trouble. Can you just shoot me in the head? Because we want to die, but we're too pussy to do it ourselves.
Pretty much. And
couldn't he have just held his son up to his head and done the thing where one bullet, 2 people?
Absolutely. They could have come up with some strategies, but did not. I have to say, before we go any further, my friend Melissa, who I went to high school with, she was the one who I said, give me some suggestions. She's like, have you done The Mist yet? It was her suggestion. So Melissa, you're
So
to blame.
obviously, you were bullying her in high school.
That is correct.
You killed her cat. You keyed her car. So one of those things happened.
One or all of the above, frankly, at this stage of the game. Let's jump right in. Now, whenever this stuff goes down, I always wonder, is it reasonable for these people to be this skeptical about what's going on in the Mist? You know what I mean? Multiple times. It's like, okay, so Thomas Jane is going to get supplies because there was like a power outage and a big storm the night before, along with a bunch of other people are on the supermarket.
They're like of course they're in Maine. They're always in Maine.
Always in Maine.
So they're rural, they're in the forest.
And this
big storms.
This big like fog bank rolls in, and some townie comes busting in going, "There's something in the mist! There's something in the mist!" So
okay, first of all, let me back you up. They're looking at the river and they're like, the fog don't come from that angle. Do you know what angle the fog comes in anywhere?
I do, actually.
Come on. Shut your mouth. We have so much fog. We don't have snow days. We actually have fog delays. And
really?
We have 2-hour fog delays. We usually get. There's been a couple years when it's been hot. We haven't had any, but we can get up to like 2 days where we go in 2 hours later.
Okay.
Some of the outlying areas, the more ag area, the place with less roads, they close.
Well,
because it'll be more than 2 hours with zero visibility.
Well, it's kind of like what we were saying about this. It's like when you watch these movies, the audience knows there's going to be something in the mist. We know. We're here for that reason. People in the reality of this movie should be skeptical, but it was kind of like they were skeptical, but then, for example, when the Duke says there's something in the mist, and you hear somebody run out to their car and then hear a scream, ah! Then the mist stops at the windows or whatever of the supermarket. So now everybody's like, oh, that wasn't too good. And later when the woman's like, I'm a bad mother, and I left my 8-year-old at home to watch the 4-year-old.
Because I needed a pack of Cools and some Schlitz malt liquor.
Absolutely. And she's like, and sometimes the 8-year-old forgets that she's supposed to be watching her 4-year-old sister. So I have to go out into the mist, and I'm going to walk home. Won't somebody walk with me? And everybody tells her to F
you.
Everybody tells her, so sorry. And it was almost like, it's like, I ain't walking you, lady. It's like, I'm out.
And then, she handled this biz and then went on to handle zombies. So
Yes,
she's a badass. In the reality, she was doing some ninja stuff.
It was Carol from The Walking Dead, of course, kind of
still with her head shaved.
Same kind of character too, where it's just like I am kind of a whiny person, and I'm mad at you because you will not risk your life to walk me home. So
it's your fault. I fucked up.
Right.
And now it's your responsibility to save me.
That is correct.
From my poor choices.
Well, and she says, like, I hope you all rot in hell as she, like, runs into the mist, essentially.
Like, all right.
So this sets the stage.
Go off with your spider, baby.
Hey, no question. So this sets the stage that everybody's like, I'm too afraid to go into the mist. Right? Later in the movie, not 10 minutes later, Thomas Jane is futzing with the generator or whatever it is, and he hears a noise pounding on the roll-up doors that they have at the back of a supermarket.
It was like breathing. It was going in and out.
Right.
That's not good. That's never good.
And so he runs out and is just like, I heard there's something outside that door, and everybody's just like, what are you talking about? Come on, bro. Let's just open up the door. Wait a minute. 5 minutes ago, you wouldn't walk the woman home in the mist.
Right.
And now
I don't know what you're talking about. And you're an out of towner, so you're suspect, and I'm gonna bust your teeth in if you sass back one more time.
You better count your teeth. Well, I think Thomas Jane is a townie. It's just he's a townie who went to college. So therefore also suspect.
You're a trash townie.
Trash townie. And it was literally like and the stock boy was like, oh, well, I'll climb up on the roof to unclog the generator hose or whatever the hell it was. And Thomas Jane's like, don't let him out. Don't let him go there. And the guy's like, pussy. It's like, again, would not help the poor woman walk home 5 minutes ago. But now, so it seemed like there were a lot of these layers. And maybe this is very realistic. Maybe everybody would be
No.
very.
Okay, first of all, there's nothing realistic. First of all, this is like a telenovela.
Yes.
Everything is hyper dramatic.
Yes.
Everyone is really stupid.
Yes.
And they turn on each other in 2 seconds.
2
And
seconds.
no one has any kind of life skills.
That's correct. So after the poor stock boy is killed by the crazy tentacles and they fight off the tentacles, they go, we got to tell everybody, but we'll have to do it subtly. So let's get Andre Braugher here, who's I guess he's an attorney. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They bring him back there and they try to tell him the story, and it's same reaction. Is this some kind of practical joke? Are you kidding? You've always hated me. You're trying to make a fool of me. It's like, wait a minute. If it's no
You're like,
big deal,
this is the most ridiculous
Right.
reaction. Everybody's reaction to this entire movie is so ridiculous. There's nothing believable about this at all. That could have been all replaced with cartoon characters.
oh, no question. Again, the poor woman who asked you to please walk her home in the mist, you like looked away sheepishly. But now,
Yeah.
this is all baloney.
Andre Braugher, I think go crazy from The Walking Dead, still walking along. You want to catch up with her? You don't believe any of this is real?
Right.
Head on out, brother.
And it was
Head on out.
It was like, if you don't believe us, go take a look in the back. I'm not going back there. I'm not going to play into this joke. What? It's like, what?
I mean, what do you say? That's so ridiculous.
It was, oh, goodness.
I will not look behind the curtain. You're playing me for a fool. And part of this is we've wrangled up all the town folks, and they're all trying to fool me, and they will point and laugh. You're a fool.
Because Andre Braugher is not a townie. He's an out-of-towner who has a summer home or a winter home or some kind of vacation home here. And that's the other thing. This is clearly like a one-horse town, right? With like the Woolworth.
Right.
I mean, and yet the supermarket is chock full of out-of-towners. It is packed with out-of-towners. So I don't know what the story is. Is this like Branson, Missouri? I don't know what the story
everybody.
Is. It is crazy.
Kevin, we grew up in a resort town.
Yes.
But I don't remember their town folk versus
that we absolutely
visiting folk.
Look, in Palm Springs, we would make fun of people who come in with their crazy accents and their education.
Occasionally, we did complain about the snowbirds from Arizona because they drove. Oregon and Arizona are traditionally known for driving like shit.
Oh, really? So an entire nation of people.
They're like, what the hell's the matter with... Oh, Arizona plates. Gotcha.
Interesting. Right, mark it down. Mark it down.
It means they're 106 years old and they're driving over here for the winter.
That's right.
Which you would think Arizona would be hot, but apparently not.
That's true. Good point. I mean, growing up in Palm Springs, I used to laugh when people be like, "Oh, I'm going to Palm Springs on vacation." I was like, "Why? Would you do such a thing? You silly fool!"
To do what? Yeah,
it's a sad.
It was very
situation.
boring children growing up there.
Did you notice that the front doors of the store were often left just unlocked, even though we've now established there's creatures crawling around out there?
So I'm guessing the monsters don't go out of the fog, right? Is that what it is?
Later in the movie.
And if the monsters love dog food, which they showed, why would they then move all the dog food and put it up at the front of the window?
Wait a minute. When was it established that the monsters like dog food? I don't remember that scene.
One of them stuck its tentacle in and grabbed a bag, and it looked like it was enjoying it. He like,
oh, that's that's right.
If the monster liked hamburgers, you wouldn't fill the whole front, the big glass area, your weakest spot, with thousands of hamburgers to keep them out.
It's going to be nothing but hamburger, is what I'm doing. Just throwing it up against the glass. That's how I ward off the monsters.
But everything was just so stupid. They've got lights all along the front of the store and can't figure out why these bugs are landing there. I'm like, really?
Right.
Really? Really?
There was a lot of those kind of Keystone Cop moments where it's like they turn on the lights, the bugs come, so they go turn off the lights. While they're turning off the lights, simultaneously the hillbillies in the back are turning on every light. Or it's just like, what
Oh,
is
the big lights will only work for what they say 5 minutes. So the minute the creatures start attacking, they turn them on in the back.
it was
What is that? To draw the monsters into the back room to make sure you never have light again.
it's madness.
What the hell?
And then their other plan is like we have one gun, which we're keeping safe. So to fight off the creatures, we're gonna create like torches. So of course there's some horrible moment where the dude kicks over the bucket of kerosene after trying to light his mop on fire, and of course lights himself on fire and half the store. It's just like, what is happening?
I'm choking to death. Oh my God, who would have thought that fire burns? So for sure, like next time, like I see a cockroach in my house, I will then just coat my living room with kerosene and
Yes.
ignite it to kill the roach, because that's what they're doing. They lit the whole place on fire
Yes.
because that's what one does when one wants to feel safe.
That's what you do, typically. So there's tentacles in the back. There are these weird waspy things that were flying up against the glass. And then these gigantic
Yeah, and then
pterodactyl
there's like
things.
turtle people who eat the waspy things, and then I don't know. Does Cthulhu then eat the turtle people? I don't know.
There's no turtle people. I don't know what you're talking about.
The thing that eats
The
the fat
pterodactyls.
mosquitoes.
Yes.
The pterodactyl looked like they had turtle heads.
Turtley.
Turtle.
Yes.
Squirtle.
There's so much ridiculousness. So then we haven't even talked about that there's the crazy religious woman who's constantly shouting out about
I mean, honestly, this was an all-star mid-level cast. Everybody in this show was like in something big. At some point, won an award.
yeah, oh no question. It was you recognize
But not for this,
everybody.
Mo. It's a wonder that any of them worked after this.
this ended their careers essentially. So she's like very much like this is God's wrath, blah blah blah. And what they're saying is over the course early on in the movie, there's three factions. There's the crazy religious people. There's the people with Andre Braugher who is like, this is just BS. Nothing's going on. I don't know what you're talking about.
And then there's the people who know the truth.
Right. Then there's the people who are like, yes, we know they're monsters, but no, we don't believe it's some kind of religious thing. So later, Andre Braugher like leads a bunch of people out into the mist. Some dude, some biker's like, just tie this rope around my waist, and I'll walk out there. You'll be able to see how far I can get. This is a horrible plan, by the way.
Horrible plan. So, of course, they drag back the lower half of his body.
When it's clear,
And everybody else is pieced.
when it's clear you're not bringing back a healthy dude, you don't need to drag the stumps all the way back through the store. Okay,
It looks like a stump, but I'm not sure. Was he only 3 feet tall? I can't tell. Bring it a little closer. And then it's like you're fishing, because now the monsters come by and now you catch one on the line. And then what are you going to do? And why do they keep holding it?
right. Well, that was the other thing.
Let it go!
When the rope gets like yanked, like it's Jaws, like pulling, they're like trying to hold the rope with their bare hands. I'm like, this is the worst. You never thought about gloves? What were you
Their
thinking?
fingers should have just dropped to the floor as this thing just cut right through.
Absolutely. It's
If
like-
only.
it was it was all so ridiculous. There was this moment where it was like a budding romance, like the checkout girl and some military dude who looked like he was a vampire. He had pale skin and crazy eyebrows, like it was a Twilight.
Yes, he was
moment.
very feminine. He was very feminine. He looked like a British synth pop singer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was Soft Cell.
I think it was Soft Cell or the lead singer of the Human League. I'm pretty sure.
Don't you want me, baby? Yes.
Don't. That's what he was saying as they murdered him.
As they murdered. Well, so they're having their little moment, like, oh, let's do this. She's dead 5 minutes later from a crazy wasp sting, which got her face all bubbles up because of a big
Yikes.
old bite. He is later sacrificed because they later figure out that this was some government experiment gone awry. So of course they're holding him responsible. His buddies, he was in there earlier with like two of his other military buddies. They go and hang themselves in the back because that's what we're doing now. He's like,
That's what we're doing. It's been 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes since this shit happened, and people are like, "That's it. What is this religious cult you're starting, and how may I join?"
Yes.
And everybody just was like, "I give up. I give up." But the one thing about the crazy religious
Yes.
lady is, of course, she's just right enough. It's like, did you watch Yellow Jackets?
No, I want to though.
It's awesome, but one of the girls seems to have visions.
Right.
So people starts this. It's a similar thing where people start to follow her.
Right.
And we need to do this, and then it'll be okay.
Just
And
right enough. It's basically
just
what it
right
is.
enough.
So
Desperate people want reassurance.
absolutely.
But come on, can't we be desperate after a week? It's got to be like 10 minutes into this thing. I don't think it's 24 hours before we're sacrificing people and killing ourselves.
There was an episode of South Park from like 20 years ago or whatever, where there was like, they were snowed in, and the very first night they're like, we have to eat everybody. They're like, what are you, diabetic?
This is it.
Right.
All I kept thinking was, I've been in those stock rooms at grocery stores. There's all kinds of rooms and stuff.
Right.
Not all of it's refrigerated. I just kept thinking I would get a 6-pack of beer and a bag of cheese pops, and I would lock myself in, get drunk, eat my chips, and then pass out and just hope it's all worked out by the next day.
No question. Well, and that's
Not like I'm going to just eat these
Hang
cheese
on a
puffs
second.
and then kill myself.
They go next door to get some antibiotics or something, some Bactine for the poor bastard who burned himself and literally doesn't have an ear. They kept showing the one side of his face where there was like, nah, he burned
It's
his
a
nose.
David Lynch movie. The ear we find a week later on the lawn.
Right. It's just like he has suffered 3rd-degree burns over 95% of his body. You're not getting some Neosporin from next door that's going to help this. But so they roll over there, and of course, the pharmacy right next door, everything seems fine. Everything seems fine until the spider creatures come out, and now suddenly the entire place is dipped in webs. Like now it's like a winter wonderland when for 10 minutes they were just clearing out shelves to no problem.
And where was the pharmacist? I mean, this was midday when this whole thing happened. The grocery store was full of people. Mom was getting her lucky strikes before the kids got up.
Right.
Where was the pharmacist?
The thing they say that the pharmacy had their doors propped open. So the mist just rolled right in. So when they started noticing, all the people were like suspended from the ceiling in webs.
Oh, that was kind of good.
That was a good moment. And then they find the military police guy is stuck to the wall and he's kind of moving. And they lift up his shirt and you see all the bubble and flesh. That was an effective moment. That was,
Yeah.
I mean,
The spider babies are popping like
the
boils.
spider babies. Now, I'll say this. The CGI was not the greatest. Not the greatest at all.
There's a lot of things that were not the greatest.
Well, oftentimes they kind
If I could share.
please do. They were able to disguise a lot of it because it's like a shadowy figure in the mist. Those were effective moments. When you saw a close up of the little crazy wasps thing or the crazy pterodactyl, you're just like, or even the tentacles coming through the door, they just looked way too CGI from my
Way too shiny.
a little too on the shite is what I would say about that.
I would tell you, I mean, jumping ahead in the story, there's one effective thing with the monsters, and that's after they left the town and they're driving, and you see this big kind of walking creature stepping over the road. Did you ever see these books called like Tales from the Loop? Or
No.
this guy does all these post-apocalyptic, he's like Swedish or Danish, but he does these illustrated novels, and it is these creatures in this post-apocalyptic world.
Sweet.
But it looked really good. That was probably the best thing
Yes.
that of the monsters. It was very effective. Where they just kind of, it wasn't attacking them.
Just
It just
walking
kind of
along.
walked over. It looked like also maybe like a Star Wars figure, but it looked great.
With weird tentacles dangling down.
Oh
and all
yeah,
sorts of
it was effed up. You know, you're like, we're not fighting that thing.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like if you don't give us a good long look at it, it was effective.
Yeah.
The moment it's
I mean,
like here's a close up, it's like
and once again, I have to reference The Thing. So there we go.
there, you know what? You will burn. You will be made to suffer.
Burn!
No, so eventually the normal the rational people are like, hey, we got to get out of here because they already sacrificed. The religious people have sacrificed the soldier guy, stabbed him, and tossed his body out.
The only person with military training is the one they've decided to sacrifice.
And he was dispatched pretty quickly by the butcher, by the guy handling the meat. So I don't know what kind of military training he actually had, but who's to say?
It may have been a surprise attack. That was ridiculous. Everybody's like, yeah, okay.
Right, everyone's on board. So they decide to escape because they're like, oh, we'll run, 200 yards to my Jeep or whatever it was. And then we'll just drive. We'll just, drive, and hopefully we'll find a way out. Otherwise, we're doomed here anyway. So they run out the door, and I swear to God, half of them bite the dust. Lickety split. A dude runs to the car, opens up the car door, and everyone looks up. Oh my God! And the dude doesn't get in the car.
No,
he just looks
too
up
much
at the
staring and waiting and looking. Get in the mofo car. Apparently these things are weak.
Yeah, well, so he gets scooped up by the gigantic praying mantis thing and just gets snipped. But of course, it was nice of him to drop the gun on the on the hood of the car from 30 feet up. So that was good thinking. Thanks for the help.
Well, and once again, we have the magical bullets because they shot that gun at least 50 times trying to shoot mosquitoes.
Not a good plan, by the way. A few other people are killed by the spider things that squirt out like acid web at people.
That was an interesting idea.
It's like you think you'd stick together, though. It was like they just opened the door and all ran in different directions, or what was the plan?
I just want to say the acid web makes no sense because it's the web that they've used to bind these people. If they bound them with acid, there would be nothing there. So that makes no goddamn sense. Unless it's got 2 flavors of spinnerets up their ass. I don't know.
It's true. Two flavors. At least 2 flavors. It's like Yogurtland. So they escape the survivors. So it was like 5 people left or 6. Yeah, 5 people left. Get in the car and drive. And then there's like a 20-minute montage of them driving through town.
Their plan is to
shaking
drive
their
till
head.
they run out of gas.
And they succeed. Well, they drive by his house first, Thomas Jane's house, because he left his wife there.
I went to get a pack of Cools.
Everybody, they can't all be smoking Cools, by the way.
How about some Parliament?
Parliament, Newport. He, of course, his wife is stuck to the outside of the wall, dead from whatever spider attacked her.
Oops.
Very upsetting.
There was way too. When you saw the entire house covered in a web, time to get moseying. Time to get moseying.
And this is the first time you see Thomas Jane's like angry, shouting, crying, which he does multiple times in this movie.
You bastards!
You
I just
blew
made
it
that
up. Very upsetting.
So ridiculous.
So then the montage continues until they literally just run out of gas.
Their plan was to drive till they ran out of gas, and
they succeeded. They ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere, and he pulls out the pistol that he took from the one dude at the supermarket. And it's just like, damn, only 4. There's 5 of us, but only 4 bullets. And everybody's like, yeah, just kill us, just kill us, please do so.
And his poor son was just waking from the nap, going, "What?
Don't I get a vote, Dad?" No, he was like
Ridiculous! They've been
Yes.
driving for 20 minutes. They're like, peace out.
peace in the Middle East. No can do. And without a word to say, no dissenting voice going, whoa, hang on, maybe we should talk about this. They all say yes.
It's a great idea.
Just kill me. And the little boy is like half asleep. And I kept thinking, he must be a deep sleeper after like the loud gunshots going off in the inside of the car. So they're all dead. So it's a happy moment, except for Thomas Jane, because there's no more bullets left. Another series of loud shout cries. Ah! Ah!
Life is so unfair.
Why? I mean, at this rate, shouldn't you just stay in the supermarket if that's what we're doing at this stage of the game?
Yeah.
He gets out and is just like shouting to the monsters in the mist, "Kill me! Hurry! Kill me now!" And of course, miraculously, the mist just disappears.
And here comes the military. Killing
Military's
everything
fine.
else.
Everything's
Of course.
cool.
I was like,
What's hilarious is that I watched the last like 40 minutes of this with Caleb, my son. And Caleb's like, wouldn't it be funny, right after he killed himself, that the mist just cleared right up? And I was like, yes, it would be funny. And of course,
100%. As soon as they did that, I'm like, the mist is going to clear immediately.
Immediately.
Of
And
course.
he's on the ground. Ah! Well, you see two army guys in gas masks kind of looking at each other like, what the
What happened here, sir? Oh, you killed your family? We're just going to shoot you now.
So now, as I said, I read the novella, and I remember
Is it the same?
It's the story, the thrust of the story is mostly the same, except that the novella ends very open-ended, where it just kind of opens with, and we continue to drive through the mist. I wonder if we'll ever find a way out, kind of thing. And it just ends like that.
Not boom, 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 boom.
That was Frank Darabont, who was written for the screen. He directed it. The screenwriter who also did like Shawshank. So he's adapted Stephen King stuff before. This was his, contribution to it. And Stephen King watched the movie and he said, I thought it was terrifying, and I frankly thought your ending was better than my book's ending.
It probably would have been better to read it, because let me tell you, there was the word better doesn't even touch this shit. There's so much that we have learned from The Walking Dead. First of all the roads are clear. Everyone conveniently managed to crash on the emergency lanes, so you can drive your truck down the center of the aisles.
That's correct.
How convenient.
Isn't that nice of them?
Of course, and every movie now has to take a trip to the pharmacy. The Quiet Place, same thing.
Yep.
You gotta make a trip to there, and something unfortunate always happens once you go to the pharmacy. So you better get lots of Oxy.
Well, and here's the other thing. So he's doing his shout crying on the floor, and then a van drives by, and there's the woman who left to go deal with her children, basically flipping them off as she goes by.
Yeah, with 57 children and herself.
Yes.
Are these all her children?
All
Yeah.
of them. All of them.
Oh my God.
So she was right to run off in the mist by herself. So
But everybody else got killed when they got into the mist, but she's got magical properties. Is it more of this magical realism we've heard so much about?
That's the thing. The reason why you had the first dude shouting, there's something in the mist, and some dude's like, F this, I'm getting to my car. He runs out to his car and is getting the car keys out. The mist swallows him up, and 2 seconds later, he screams. Like instantly, instant death. Instant death. Yet here's like people just wandering around in the mist for 200 yards. Everything's cool. It makes sense.
No one got a radio to see what's going on. No one picked up a phone to call anyone.
Well, they said they couldn't get a signal for either of these things. So they couldn't know what's going on outside. So there you go. So that's why they instantly turned to cannibalism. Very strange.
As one does.
As one does. Any last thoughts and feelings?
We want the boy and the whore. What does that mean?
Well, that's what kind of makes they're already trying to sneak out the door when the crazy religious zealot is prepared now to sacrifice the boy. I don't know why the woman's a whore. We didn't establish that. That's not in the text. Maybe maybe the word is out. I don't know, but very upsetting. And besides, we don't slut shame on this.
And the boy. Well, no, men don't slut shame. Women slut
Never.
shame. Men are always appreciative of sluts. But always the boys are terrible. This reminds me once again of Walking Dead. What was the kid's name? Coral. I was like, motherfucker, I'm never going to watch this show again unless Carl gets fucking just snatched up. Why did they keep that little son of a bitch kid on there for so long? He was the worst.
He got better. He got better because there was a lot of, and this, I watched, part of the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, where it's even worse, where they're angsty teenagers. I'm not listening to you, Mom. There's a zombie outside. Okay?
I'm bucking your ass outside then. You are going to do the dishes or you will be eaten by a zombie. I'm going to lock you outside, Mama. I'm coming in. I'll do the dishes. What? I promise I'll do the dishes. I can't hear you. Mom!
Bring the zombies in. No, Carl, it was a meme where it's like, why isn't anybody watching Carl? Because constantly he's just left to wander the haunted forest with a zombie in the swamp. It's like, really? If you just want to, just put a bullet in his head. If you're just going to let him wander the streets like this. It's like, what are we doing? Sweet Jesus. Very upsetting. Any other last notes?
I can't read my handwriting. I have Sir Crude Stupid and Harry Menglin.
Okay, that means nothing to me. I don't know. Who's Harry Menglin, by the way?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't care.
Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Let's
see. During an action scene in the film, a man runs into a wire rotating bookshelf in the grocery store. If you look carefully, you can see that all the books on the shelf are written by Stephen King.
I thought you were going to say L. Ron Hubbard.
All written by, it was Dianetics 2, the continuing saga, Battlefield Earth. This is the third film that Frank Darabont has adapted from Stephen King's work. The other two are Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. Boom.
Yeah, they're okay.
Frank Darabont agreed to make the film with Dimension only under the condition that no matter what, they wouldn't change the scripted ending, which is the ending that we see.
Right.
And they agreed. Evidently, there was a bigger... So Dimensions, that was Harvey Weinstein's company.
Oh, yeah. That's what I wrote. It's not Harry Mendelsohn. It was Harvey Weinstein. That's what I wrote down.
Yes. He's
Hence
involved.
the whore.
The whore. No, there was a bigger company that was going to give them a much bigger budget, but they wanted to change the ending to make it a happy ending. And Frank Darabont says, "I'll take less money to keep the original ending."
The ending ain't what's going to save or kill this film.
Some would disagree. Stephen King got the idea for the source novel when he was at a Maine market. When he noticed the front window was made of plate glass, he wondered what would happen if giant insects flew into it. So there you go.
All right.
Is that helpful?
No.
Good times. So there was such a tight schedule that they basically took the entire crew from The Shield, that TV show with Michael Chiklis.
Yeah. The commish.
The commish. They took the entire the crew for that and just worked them, just stole them while they were off when they weren't filming and used them to film the entire movie.
It looks like a made-for-TV movie.
Caleb thought it was literally like a lost episode of The Office. Because you'd see like these weird camera angles. Like somebody would be talking, they'd cut to like a reaction shot. Like there's Jim Halpert like pulling a Mr. Roper. So
Dwight would have handled the shit. You got to be Team Dwight.
Team Dwight. Frank Darabont created The Walking Dead directly after working on this, and he wanted Thomas Jane to be Rick Grimes. That was his
Interesting.
original choice. Now, Thomas Jane is a natural blonde, but for some reason they gave him brown hair, and his eyebrows were very distracting to me because they were crazy, dark, dyed eyebrows for some reason. No one knows why.
So let's discuss Frank Darabont and The Walking Dead.
Please.
So we've already discussed how he completely ripped off 28 Days Later. And now he's pretty much ripping off this Stephen King story to create his little triumph.
What? Oh,
Actually, we can't really blame him because this is based on a graphic novel, but he sure as lifted stuff out of here.
oh, that's interesting. Interesting.
What?
I
You know
mean,
it's right.
whatever
You know
you
it's right.
say, you know it's right.
Girl, you know it's true.
In the pharmacy scene, Thomas Jane takes a Punisher comic book and then puts it back. Thomas Jane played the Punisher in one of the.
Oh, I
earlier-
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did see that. I was like, I suppose this probably means something.
Right. You have to be paying attention to all these little like Easter eggs that are in there.
Okay, first of all, do you believe I saw the Punisher movie? Or
Well,
have
which
ever
one?
Exactly.
Which one? There were multiple.
Isn't it
I've
a
seen them
comic
all.
book also, which I haven't seen? This is all for
Yeah.
you.
For you.
Are you
It's
writing
all
letters
for
to
you,
Frank Darabont?
Damien.
It's all for you, Frank.
Let's see. Jeffrey DeMunn, Melissa McBride, Laurie Holden, Juan Gabriel Pareja, Sherry Dvorak, Sam Witwer, Brandon Odell, Julio Cesar Cedillo, and Tiffany Morgan are all in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, he just picked everybody up.
Everybody. So there you
Except for what's her name? What's her name who is the religious person?
go. No. Well, Marcia Gay Harden is not.
Marcia
doing that
Gay
with
Harden.
me.
She was
not
not
going
going
to
to do The
TV.
Walking Dead. Frankly, she was super irritating in this.
She was. Well, at one point, she's in the toilet, like praying, and Laurie Holden comes and says, "Hey, if you ever need to talk, and she's like, if I wanted a friend, I'd shit one or something." Made some horrible
You're like, what? That's not what Jesus would do.
very upsetting. Very upsetting. Shall we talk about the cast?
Well, one more comment is I like
Please.
how their version of Christianity immediately involves human sacrifice.
Gotta have the human sacrifice. No question. Let's see. Writer-director Frank Darabont. You know him. 3-time Oscar nominee Frank Darabont.
What was he nominated for?
I will tell you. But he also worked on Shawshank, Green Mile, The Mist, The Walking
Okay,
Dead.
well, those are the two he got nominated for. What
Additional
was the
writing
third?
on Godzilla.
That was a nominee?
Hang on, let me see what. Okay, I don't want additional writing.
Does
What-
he
what
have
did
an
he direct?
EGOT? What's next? The spoken word for the Godzilla soundtrack?
Well, he was only on The Walking Dead for the first season, and they left over creative differences, which is why some of like his actors like bit the dust after the first season.
They're
Like they killed a lot of them. He worked on created Mob City, which was a TV series.
Yeah.
Walking
No.
Dead, The Mist, The Shield. He worked on. Oh, he directed one episode. That doesn't really count. The Majestic.
No.
Okay.
What did he win what was the 3 nominations?
Okay,
It was The
let's
Green
find
Mile.
You wanna
It
know what he
was
nominated for?
Shawshank. I mean, Shawshank is good. I didn't see Green Mile. These were
Best
lesser
Picture
Stephen Kings.
nominee for The Green Mile. In
Yeah.
2000.
Mhm.
Best writing screenplay based on material previously produced for The Green Mile. And Oscar nominee, best writing screenplay based on a material previously produced, Shawshank.
Okay.
So
All
there it
right.
is.
That's where he peaked.
That's where he peaked. Let's talk about the cast. You've got Thomas Jane, plays David Drayton. You know him.
What a name. David Drayton? What the hell
That's-
kind
that's
of
a
is
common
is
name.
that like Rex Manning? Is this ready for Soap Opera City?
It is.
Nobody has a name like that.
He was Todd Parker in Boogie Nights. He was Carter Blake.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
Yes.
You didn't say it was a Boogie Nights. Now,
Yes.
I love that one. Was he the one that was playing the God?
He was a stripper who was hanging out with Dirk and Chester
Ziegler.
Rockwell. And they
Right,
go try
he's
to
the
rob
one-
the guy.
He
Rob the
was
guy.
playing right, but that's based on what porn
John
star?
Holmes.
He was playing the John Holmes character.
No, Dirk
Oh,
Diggler
yeah.
is John Holmes.
Okay. But anyway,
He
was
was with
great in
them
that.
when they tried to rob the dude, and he gets killed.
Right.
Spoiler
He was
alert.
great in that.
He had a big
This,
old
not so
crazy
much.
mustache.
No, he was
Nah,
great. That
No.
was one of the most tensest scenes in cinema. While he's in there gonna rip off what's his face,
Edward
And-
Molina.
Alfred Molina.
Alfred. What I call him? Edward? Edward.
I don't know who
Alfred.
you're talking
Molina.
about.
One of the Molina
I
brothers.
remember him from Letters from Brezhnev and Enchanted April. You may remember him from Spider-Man.
He's in some good stuff. Let's see. Thomas Jane also played Carter Blake in Deep Blue Sea. The Shark
Oh my
Wrangler.
Another
was in-
terrible name.
The Thin Red Line. He was in The Mist. He was on an HBO series called Hung, if you're into that sort of thing.
Did not see that.
Marcia Gay Harden played Miss Carmody. You know her from Mystic River.
I did see that.
She was in Pollock. She was in
I did
Into
see
the
that.
Wild. She's done some
No,
things.
I didn't see that. No, she's done some real things, which is why it's confusing that she was in this.
This is true. Laurie Holden played Amanda Dunfree. You know her from The Boys. Have you seen The Boys?
No.
She was like in one episode of The Boys. She was in The Americans. She was in The
I
Walking
saw a little bit
Dead.
of that.
She was in The Shield. She's in a bunch of TV series. Andre Brower played Brent Norton. You know him from Homicide, Life on the Streets.
I used to love that show. Then they did a crossover with CSI.
He was in Frequency,
Not CSI, Law and Order.
The Mist, City of Angels,
No.
your favorite knockoff,
I have
Brooklyn
never seen that.
Nine-Nine. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
He
Andre
just plays
Brower.
cops. Is that it?
Yes, pretty much. Toby
No,
Jones.
but
played-
Homicide was amazing. And then when that got canceled, they moved half the cast over to Law and Order.
What they do. Toby Jones played Ollie Weeks, the smart supermarket employee. He was in Tinker
I
Tailor.
thought that was
Soldier
Benjamin
Spy.
Buttons.
A little bit. He was in The Hunger Games. He was in Captain America: The First Avenger, and he was in The Mist.
He was in a lot of shit.
William Sadler played Jim, the townie who doesn't like it when you have too much education. He'll knock your teeth out. He was the Grim Reaper in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. He was in Shawshank Redemption. He was in The Mist. He was in Die Hard 2 as one of the main villains fighting John McClane.
Don't
He
think
was
I
also
saw that.
in Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight as like
Oh,
Breaker,
with
the
Billy
main
Zane?
character. Absolutely.
I do
let's
love
see.
Billy Zane.
I do. Jeffrey DeMunn played Dan Miller. I don't know how many. I mean, we could keep going the entire cast, essentially. Dan Miller was the guy who comes running in. There's something in the mist.
Oh, he's totally familiar.
He was in The Green Mile, The Mist, The Hitcher as Captain something. He was the sympathetic police officer helping
Who
Sue
ends
Thomas.
up dead.
No, he lives. He
Oh, okay.
survives. And he was in The Blob as the sheriff. There you go. Good stuff. Let's talk about the rating, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
The Mist, currently on Rotten Tomatoes, 72%.
That's ridiculous. That is
And the audience-
ridiculous.
What do you think the audience gave it?
42%.
65%.
D for
So now-
diploma, as we say at the high school.
D is for degree, as we say around these here parts. Let's look at the top critics, shall we? Let's see. Richard Roper
What does the Paris Review say?
I'm not sure they discussed it, but who's to say? Richard Roper, a near campy escapist thrill ride. What do you think about that?
I want you to find something that he reviewed where a negative review sounds like a negative review. A
Can't do it.
joyous, thrilling, tongue-in-cheek adventure, a frolic. 1 out of 5.
Exactly. Let me see. We've got Stephen Hunter from the Washington Post. There's a glib twist at the end, which seems out of character, and the movie could easily lose 20 minutes, maybe 40.
Now
Maybe
that's something I
40.
can get behind.
And as a special treat, Rex Reed
Woo!
reviewed this one. Boom.
What did Sexy Rexy have to say?
The Mist is one of the best scream fests I've seen in years and a whale of an entertainment.
Oh, sweet Jesus. He
loves it.
has sold his soul.
Soul to soul. What is your rating for The Mist?
The Mist. What year did this come out?
2007.
The Mist is 2007's epic horror fest. I give it 1 out of 1,000,000.
It was not a 1 out of 1,000,000. You're 1 in 1,000,000. Yeah.
I ain't ever watching this shit again.
I did not hate it as much as you did.
And there's something wrong with you. Double tap.
It's not. You're gonna throw me out to the creatures in the mist. I am going to give it. Let's say
Gorillas in the Mist. How about that?
How about that? I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5. Weird pterodactyls nibbling on my neck, as they do.
Excellent.
good times.
Excellent. Now, before you do your wrap up, we need to discuss the things that are going on with the Twitzker these days and Elon Musk.
Okay, well, let me explain why I gave The Mist 2.5, if I may, before we move on to Twitskizzle.
Oh, you have a reason for it?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Damn you! Not great by any stretch of the imagination. Not a horror. I mean, there were definitely things to kind of laugh at. I didn't find it particularly scary, but you make it seem like it was a damn train wreck. I didn't think it was as bad as all that.
I don't need to see it again. That's all it takes. For to earn a 1 or even a 2, it means I ain't ever watching this shit again.
But that's most of the movies we review, frankly.
No, I give an incredible amount of 3s.
Which is also
that's a whole different kettle of fish. A 3 is different.
That is true.
Okay, a 3 has moments.
Give me your explanation of Twitter, because you're right. Twitter has gone off the rails. What's the story? Let's be quick about it.
I don't even know. I think it's AI. It's Elon Musk and his freaks trying to control us. It's the Chinese with TikTok. I don't know what's going on, but it used to be I could see people I want to see, and now you don't get anything. It's terrible.
Well, and my biggest issue, and this is an issue with Facebook, the default for Facebook is like, what is it? I don't even know what it is. Most popular, or
yes.
It's not.
You used to be
recent.
able to say most recent. You had choices. Well, what you wanted your feed. And recently they've taken all that away. They decide what you need to see. So like on my birthday last year, everybody sent me these messages, but I got them 3 days later. That's when they finally showed up.
Right. So now Twitter is worse because they have two like settings that don't mean anything. They're just words. Here's for you. And here's following. There's no explanation. There's no tutorial. So I was just doing following, figuring I'm going to get all of the people that I follow. Wrong. I have to go to For You as well, because there are people who only seem to pop up on For You and people that only seem to pop up on following. So I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do.
Well, I don't even know what happened, because all of a sudden all I got was Dan Crenshaw and that ilk for me. Now,
right.
Dan Crenshaw is a good looking man with that eye patch. That's kind of sexy business. But I don't follow him. And
Right.
I keep getting messages of that ilk. I just use Twitter for the podcast. I follow some people that are artists, maybe a few
Yes.
family and friends. So I mean, I unfollowed almost all the political people after Trump went out of office because I don't
Right.
need that. I have Anonymous still, and I still have Pussy Riot, but most of the people I dumped because I don't
Right.
want to see it anymore. But
I hear you.
if I don't change it, or all I get is, or it's a retweet of
Well,
something that's
that's
being
the other
sent
thing.
to me
They now
from
say,
someone I also don't know.
what they say now is that retweets don't do anything. They just fall into the abyss. And if you want to retweet something, you're more likely to be successful if you just comment on it. Like the commenting will act as a retweet. It makes no sense. It's all anarchy. It's gone off into the abyss.
Right. So now Facebook, you don't get to see any of your friends. Mostly
And
I'm getting their content.
mostly
Same with
ads.
Twitter. Mostly
Right.
ads for scam bullshit where they turn off the commenting so people can't say, "Hey, I got ripped off." Twitter, now once again, I'm not seeing anybody that I follow. I'm seeing
Right.
a lot of bullshit. Now, Instagram, inundated, they slip by you. All of a sudden you're clicking through it and you don't realize these aren't anybody you follow.
Right.
So if you've looked at a certain date, then they don't show you your history unless you go click a button. Now you're just seeing randos that they're paying for promotion.
That's correct. It's a horror show. It's all crappier. Anyway, this is neither
And
here
there's
nor there.
other things, but it's making me crazy. But Elon Musk, I really wanted to just go on Twitter and say, since the takeover, are you more likely, less likely, about the same to buy a Tesla? Where at one point I thought it was cool. Now I'm like, I wouldn't get near it.
Right. It's been very politicized, to say the least.
I mean, it's just ever since Elon Musk posted that picture of like a nun bending over with a hooch in the air, with the priest said Trump and her beehole said Twitter. It was like, come on. I mean, I've had enough.
So, thank you very much.
I mean, he has stock. Is Tesla a privately owned company still?
I believe so.
Well, there you go. I guess you only have to worry about yourself. I was going to say, usually you have shareholders that
I
don't
think
want
he
you
probably does.
f***ing with your product.
Anyway, go to our page on
Oh my
Twitter.
God, you had so much to say before, and now it's like,
No, because you've said it all. I don't need to hammer the info.
Tell us what you
Yes.
think, children. Social media's gotten so up. We're about ready to use TikTok, but I'm not sure that's not a bad idea because it is highly addictive. It is
Melting
insane.
Aaron's brain.
It was melting my brain. I was just watching Mad Madsen speaking Danish just like 2 minutes ago. And then right after that, a woman discussing Irish Victorian clothing and how to dress that way.
Mads Madsen is not a real person, by the way. Mads Mikkelsen? Is that who you're talking
Mads
about?
Mikkelsen.
You're driving me mad.
Speaking in the original Danish. He's like a Malkovich. He's like sexy, but then you have to take a shower. It's kind of that.
You can find us on Twitter at the podcast TW Die. We're on Facebook at the podcast that wouldn't die. Aaron, are we still on Instagram and TikTok?
Who can even tell anymore? Yes, we
anarchy.
are. We are. I was just making a ticker talker that I will post on the Instagram. We are, in fact, on Instagram. We are, in fact, the podcast that wouldn't die.
Dynamite. You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail. Very few
We're on
people email us.
They do from time to time. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So share it in some fashion. Who's to say what that means?
Force people to listen to this.
Don't
Force
forget
them.
to subscribe and listen and rate and review. I don't know if any of that does anything, but it means a little something to us if you do those things. So, Aaron, what else is going on with your social media profile?
Ah, Jesus. Gotten so lazy. I'm posting some pictures. I'd like to earn some more money. So, cruise on over to 1, Don't Feed the Pigeon. 2, The Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. And then just, it's late night. You came home. You're a little tipsy. But you have your credit card saved on your phone. Drift on over, as one does, drift on over to Artsy or First Dibs and start drunk purchasing pictures from me. You won't regret it.
Dynamite. Next week, we're discussing the horror classic Warlock, starring
God.
Julian Sands.
Oh, Julian Sands! We
At
need
the
to
time of
set a
this
search party out for him. Where is he?
At the time of this recording, we don't know where he is. He's lost on a hiking trail. So
It's not
hopefully-
good, brother. I hope he is a warlock because I think that's what's going to take to save him.
That's what it's going to take. You can find
Poor
Warlock
Julian Sands.
on Roku, on Tubi, and on Freevee, all with ads. So I hope you like ads. Decide which ads you prefer and watch it on that platform. So there you go. Send any comments, quotes, favorite scenes, questions you might have, and we may just discuss it on the show. So good times. So thank you very much, and be well.
I was just Googling Julian Sands update. Hang in there, Julian! Bye. Let's all say a prayer.